Extra, we bring you college wrestling from Raleigh, North Carolina as the Virginia Cavaliers challenge the 6th-ranked NC State Wolfpack. Hello everybody, we welcome you Matt side here in Reynolds Coliseum with Ryan Tice. I'm Andrew Sanders. And Ryan, this sets up as a big duel for both of these teams. It's early in ACC play. They've only dueled once so far, both teams. However, it's getting to the later stages of the season where you really need to round into form.
Yeah, exactly. Guys should be ramping up to hit their peak. The postseason is not that far away. And when you're in a 6-team league like the ACC, every match is a big one. So I'm sure this one will be no different.
This also sets up as a big match because of the talent on both rosters, specifically NC State. They're the only team in the country with a top 30 wrestler in every single weight class, so they've got the depth. They also have the top-end talent.
Yeah, no doubt about it. They qualified all 10 wrestlers for the NCAA championships last year. That was the first time in school history that's ever happened. And it looks like they're on track to do the same thing again this year. Like you mentioned, half the lineup, 5 guys are ranked in the top 3 nationally. Really impressive stuff for Pat Papalizio's squad.
And there's the skipper in his 6th season. He's really set up this program now. The 2016 ACC champions, they would obviously like to reach that accomplishment again. But it's about nationals as well. They finished 17th last year. They're a good bet to improve upon that this year with the talent they have. And on the other side, Steve Garland of Virginia, who, like Papalizio, was also a great collegiate wrestler. He was the 2010 ACC Coach of the Year as well.
Yeah, Garland was a former NCAA finalist, so you can't do much better than that. Last year, he led the program to their 2nd highest finish ever at the NCAA championships, 15th.
And we start off at 149 pounds. It's 13th ranked Bo Donahue against 23rd ranked Sam Crevis.
Yeah, anytime you can have 6 ranked versus ranked matchups, which is what we have tonight according to the coaches panel, that's a good night of wrestling. We start off with a ranked versus ranked matchup here.
Donahue, a redshirt senior from Centerville, Virginia. Crevis, a redshirt sophomore from Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Donahue's off to a great start here in his final season of eligibility, 15-2, and all the way up at 13th in the national rankings. And he's a guy that just ends up wrestling a lot of close matches. He's 5-2 this year in matches decided by 1 point or that went to overtime.
Crevis has had some success against NC State in the past. In fact, he upset Sam Spino last year, finished 3rd in the ACCs. That earned him an NCAA qualification.
Yeah, Spino and Donahue split this weight class last year for the Wolfpack, and Spino ended up going on to the NCAA championships and finished one match away from All-America status. We call that the blood round in wrestling, and that's where he lost in the blood round.
Some good action between these two.
Yeah, Donahue's only losses this year came in a pair of tournaments, both times in the finals.
Crevis is in there. And there he gets the takedown. Good start for the Cavaliers.
Yeah, good job by Crevis there to stick with that takedown. It looked like Donahue kind of stymied him there for a second, but Crevis able to finish, get the takedown.
Virginia got off to a fast start their last time out against North Carolina. Got 2 pins in the first 2 bouts, but ended up losing 24-15. So after that, it was pretty much all Carolina. They'd like to start just as fast, obviously, here today, but maintain it.
Yeah, one change for the Cavaliers compared to that match you were just talking about, partner, is they started that match at 125 and 133. Those are their 2 strongest weight classes, but Crevis, obviously not a bad wrestler, checking in at number 23 in the coaches panel rankings. And he's riding Donahue tough here. He's racked up 34 seconds of riding time, a little bit more than that. So he's going to have a chance to get that 1 minute of riding time here before the first period ends.
Crevis is coming off a loss his last time out, and again, he's doing a nice job really controlling Donahue.
Yeah, he's using that back trip really well, and you saw him right there on the edge of the mat. He almost was able to turn Donahue with a funky little trip. He he kind of pulled out of his back pocket.
Meanwhile, Donahue is coming off a major decision win over Brandon Leynaud of Duke.
NC State bench really looking for a stalling call there, saying that Krivas was not taking Donahue back down to the mat. But no luck with the referee, and we've got 15 seconds left here in this period. Krivas with 58 seconds of riding time. And it doesn't look like Donahue's going to get out based on that start to the period.
Yeah, went flat to his stomach for a moment.
I tell you, Krivas is tough on top. He's got all those little trips. He's been riding hard, and the clock's gonna save him right there.
So Krivas gets the takedown. Then on top, he showed some good wrist control.
Yeah, racked up 1:12.5 of riding time, and Donahue decides to start this period on bottom. So he's really got to up the movement here, I think.
Are you surprised that he chose bottom there?
A little bit, but that's kind of quick stalling call there from the referee. I think that was a little bit of the bench coaxing it out of him,
yeah.
And it's kind of laying the groundwork there.
Maybe
earlier.
a cumulative stalling.
Yeah. And that's why you do take bottom. You can not only score a point, but in that certain situation, you're kind of maybe hoping you can draw a stall call just like they did right there. So that could play a role in this match as we move on, especially with the way, I'm telling you, Donahue loves close matches. I don't know if he loves them, but he wrestles in a lot of them.
He's at least comfortable, right?
Yeah, maybe that's the better word.
So he got into a more favorable position now. And in these close matches, I mean, it might just come down to who scores the next takedown.
Absolutely. That's going to be huge.
Donahue was able to just stave off that shot.
Yeah, nice little go behind there by Donahue, and that's great because it allows him to maybe get that riding time under a minute, and he's in the lead 3-2 right now.
I was just about to ask you right before that if you were a little surprised because we hadn't really seen Donahue shoot at all.
Yeah.
And I guess he was waiting for Krivas, huh?
Right. It could have been something he saw in the scouting report, or, I mean, you don't always have to shoot to score. You can do exactly what Donahue did there and use a guy's shot against him.
Oh.
Krivas right up to his feet. So he escapes with the riding time at 58 seconds. So that's something to watch going forward here.
Krivas is up above that right shoulder.
Yeah, the Virginia bench really wanted him to use that front headlock to score, but I think Donahue's really dangerous in that position. You saw that little duck he tried.
All right, 2 periods in the books. It's been entertaining, not high scoring, but this has been a pretty even bout so far.
Yeah, definitely been entertaining. It's what you expect when you see number 13 in the country go against number 23 in the country.
Sure.
And I think the key here is Donahue's going to have to maybe erase a little of that ride time, but regardless, I think he's going to have to get a takedown to pull this one out, I think.
Donahue has lost just twice this year. Krivas is 14-10.
He did place 4th at the Southern Scuffle, which is always a really strong tournament.
Yep.
And that was January 1st and 2nd, so I'm sure he picked up a lot of quality wins there. Donahue getting real active on the shots now. Krivas returns the favor.
And he gets 2. Big takedown for Sam Krivas. Can Donahue get that leg out?
Donahue looking for a switch here. And there's where that stalling call that was called early in the second period really comes into play. That's a point for Bo Donahue. Steve Garland, Virginia coach, wanting to talk it over with the referee. But the reason he called that, you can't hang out on that ankle. They're going to give you a 5 count, I believe it is, and the referee determined he had reached those 5 seconds. He's allowed to hang on to that ankle.
And as you might imagine, Pat Popolizio thinks that it was a stall. Coach
course.
Garland, not quite as sure. And I think he wants them to go to the video here.
Nope, doesn't look like they're going to the video. I guess he I don't think that's something you want to challenge, but there is sometimes an advantage to talking to the ref about it, so that there's not a quick trigger on the next stalling call possibly.
So now Donahue down 2. He's got to worry about this ride time point also. 57 seconds and counting. So now we're over a minute of ride time. And this is going to be a real uphill battle for Donahue. Krivas in a great spot with just a minute and 10 seconds left.
Yeah, and with a minute 02 of riding time, Krivas is essentially up 7-4.
Right. So Donahue needs the escape and the takedown.
That'll put him where he's comfortable in overtime.
And that shows you how big that stalling call was, because he would essentially be up 8-4.
Yeah.
Krivas has got that leg.
Great reshot there from Krivas, but Donahue is funky.
Krivas trying to stay off that back.
He got a 2 count. I saw the referee swipe twice. I think that's going to be 2 back points for Bo Donahue.
And it's 4.
He called 4.
Wow.
What a change of action there. Bo Donahue straight to his back, gets the 2, gets the 4 back points. What a move right when he needed it.
Just when you thought that Krivas was in a great position.
Donahue loves the end of these matches. He's had several that have been close, and he's made big comebacks, and he does it again, much to the joy of the home crowd here in Reynolds Coliseum.
Yeah, this crowd came alive immediately. And right there, Krivas, after the Donahue escape, he was still the aggressor. He was coming in for that shot. Donahue again used it against him, then got that 4 swipe. And that's all she wrote, unless Krivas can pull off a miracle here in the waning seconds, and it's not going to happen.
Donahue is one of the best counter wrestlers I've seen. He can make offense out of another guy's shots. Really impressive 11-6 victory for Bo Donahue to get the Wolfpack started here at 149 pounds. That was exciting.
And we'll get another look here.
Yeah, we're going to see Donahue just start looking for his offense off of a guy's shot. They get a little funky. Krivas tries a roll, and Donahue sticks him right on his back. There you see the ref counting. Gets his back points. Gets the win. That's just business as usual for Bo Donahue.
Again, it looked like he was in trouble. He's down 2. Looks like he's going to be taken down. And just like that, he picks up his decision. And by the way, it wasn't even that close in the end. It was pretty comfortable.
Yeah. I was going to say, we can't dwell on it too long, because Hayden Hidley is getting right to work here at 157 pounds, the redshirt freshman for the Wolfpack, ranked 3rd in the country.
Now, Hidley, redshirted last year. There was a lot of talk. He came in with a lot of hype, and very similar to you and I were talking really before the broadcast, and we were saying, Popolizio has recruited so well. They've got guys that they're redshirting right now that they feel really good about, but because of the depth, there's no room, and they redshirted Hidley, and you see him just burst on the scene like he has.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you do when you build the program to the point NC State has built this program. There's going to be quality guys that are in the room but not in the lineup, and that's a good problem to have.
So Hidley just cut Fred Green here. Fred Green, a redshirt sophomore from the state of Washington, and this is something that NC State is focusing on more this year, especially for these guys that are in the top 3. They're not just looking for decisions. They're looking for 4 points, 5 points.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You want your guys to perform up to the ranking that they are. You got to be what your ranking says you are. And a guy like Hayden Hidley has done that. He's 15-0 this year. He's the 3-time ACC Wrestler of the Week, leading the conference in that category. He's 3-0 against ranked opponents, including a win over the national finalist from last year. So this redshirt freshman not waiting around to make an impact for the Wolfpack.
They know those bonus point victories are going to go a long way in the NCAAs, of course. for the team score.
Absolutely. That's the best way to get points at the NCAAs is racking up some of those bonus point victories.
And the Skip was talking about that on the hashtag Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, which I was listening to this morning, just getting tuned up and ready to go for this one. They do a great job with that.
Yeah, it's something worth listening to every week if you're a NC State wrestling fan or even just a fan of college wrestling.
And Green's in some trouble here.
Yeah, Hidley's going to lock up that cradle. He's got it locked. Looking for the pin. And he's still got it locked. He's still in a really great position.
He's trying it a second time.
Yep, he's just readjusting his lock. And Green able to roll out of that, but Hidley still able to get his 2 back points.
And now Green here with the reversal. Boy, it looked like he was about to fall, and he stuck with it. An escape artist.
Yeah, Hidley looked like he might have been going for a little bit of a move that required him to go to his back, maybe a gator roll, and Green able to take advantage here.
Well, in the first period at 1:49, we didn't see much scoring. That's not the case here. We've already got 17 points up on the board.
Yeah, they've already matched the point total from the first match. It wasn't an identical 11-6 final score win for Bo Donahue. Hidley up to an 11-6 lead after the first period in this one.
So he had the cradle, and then somehow Green was able to control his body really from the top of his head and keep his back off the mat.
Yeah, he fought his tail off there, and that's what you got to do when you've got a guy going for that pin. We've talked about how big bonus points are, and that's you got to do whatever you can to avoid it for your team.
Green gets the escape.
Hidley with an interesting little lock on Green.
And that was interesting. He didn't exactly cut him, but he still got what he wanted, which is Green to escape.
Yep. And
maintaining some control.
Yeah, and then he's right back on his offense. Now he's got the takedown. He's working a bar on that right side. We'll see what he's able to do with it, but he is just a bull on top. The NC State coaches, like you mentioned, Andrew, were so excited about Hidley last year. They had Max Roscoff, a guy who was a top 5 national, really ranked guy in the preseason at that weight class. So when Roscoff got hurt, they kept Hidley in the red shirt, and he was on board with that plan. I've talked to him about it, and it's really paying off now this year when you see that number 3 next to his name.
Hidley with just under 2 minutes of ride time here.
And Hidley's a guy that's been racking up the bonus point victories for NC State. He's got 5 tech falls, 4 major decisions, 2 pins. So not bad when you've wrestled 15 matches and have bonus point wins in 11 of them.
Yeah, that's all right. I think most guys would take that. Green's got 2 more.
Yeah, taking advantage of a little bit of a slip there from Hidley, but Hidley is right back on his offense.
Still neutral.
Time's running short here, so it's going to be tough for one of these guys to get the takedown here, and stalemate's the call. So they will start back in the center for the final 10 seconds.
And credit Fred Green, because it looked early on that he might get blitzed here. He wrestled really well in their ACC opener against 17th-ranked Kennedy Monday. He lost 10-7. And he's putting up a game effort here. He's had enough offense to really keep Hidley at least within arm's reach.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Fred Green's an experienced wrestler. He's a transfer from Boise State. He was a starter there last year, put up 20 wins, led the team with 10 pins. So, I mean, he's not coming out here to bow down to the redshirt freshman, that's for sure.
And so now the focus for Hidley is get at least one more takedown.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you know the NC State coaches want those bonus points from him as well. He's got 147 of riding time, so he's pretty good in that area. it wouldn't be the most shocking thing ever to see him start cutting after a few of these takedowns.
So there's the takedown he's looking for. Essentially up 8, which would be, of course, a major decision. And he will cut.
Heavy hands there from Green. Didn't look like it phased Hidley too much, though. He's right back into his tie. Another takedown.
And at this point, up 8 plus the ride time. You just ride this one out?
That's an interesting question. We might see him work a little bit on top, I think, when he comes back. But, you know, I think an optional start's a part of option 2 because you don't want to have him escape there at the end and able to cancel those bonus points. So looks like he will ride him. Granby attempt.
Somehow Hidley stayed with it.
Yeah, good follow. There's the escape, but Hidley still does have the bonus points because of the ride time point. He's got 2:21 of riding time right now. But he's not stopping. Gets another takedown.
Yeah, we've seen Green be able to score, and so the question was still there, could Green come back with a takedown? But there's your answer. Hidley in control of this one.
Looking for a tilt, too, to add a couple more points onto the cushion, and he gets it.
4 swipes. That's a good way to end it. How about 26 points put up by Hayden Hidley?
I think it'll be 27 after the riding time, or did they already add that in?
Yeah, they added it in. So 26-12 the final there. Hidley improves to 16-0.
What a start to the duel tonight. Lots of points. And here's Hidley, again, taking advantage of the Virginia shot, kind of steamrolling that guy and running him over. And then he just goes to work on top. Gets that tilt at the end.
Now this will be a really even matchup here at 165 pounds. It's 30th ranked Andrew Atkinson for Virginia against 28th ranked Brian Hammond. A couple of redshirt seniors. Obviously the rankings are about as close as you can be.
Yeah, two guys that have wrestled a lot of matches, and they've wrestled at different weights quite a bit too. I know Andrew Atkinson, when he redshirted, he was all the way down at 141 pounds, and Brian Hammond actually started his career at 149. So these are guys who have clearly put on quite a bit of size as their career has gone on.
Yeah, these are guys that have lived in the weight room. They've lived in the cafeteria too.
Absolutely. Not many wrestlers get the chance to do that.
Right, that's a luxury, right?
No doubt about it. And Atkinson is up at 57 for the first time. He's been a 3-time NCAA qualifier at 157 pounds. And Hammond went to the NCAA championships at this weight class, 165 last year. After all those points, we had to slow down the scoring eventually, I guess.
Absolutely. Saw 38 points between Green and Hidley.
Wow, not often you see that.
No. Hammond's coming off a win over Zach Feinsilver of Duke, 6-3. Atkinson got a win as well, 6-1 over Clay Lott.
Yeah, two guys that are 1-0 in the ACC, and like we mentioned at the top, when you've only got 6 teams in the conference, every result is crucial. It counts for seeding at the ACCs, and of course, the national bids to the NCAA championships are handed out based on how you finish at the ACC tournament.
Right.
So,
and if you're one of those top guys, if you lose to another top-ranked wrestler in the conference, it kind of counts as 2 because then you don't have the tiebreaker either.
Right, exactly. Both of these guys have been ACC finalists in their career as well. So Hammond did it last year, and Atkinson did it all the way back in 2015. Nice flurry there from Hammond, but not able to take advantage.
So the first period sees no scoring between these two. Again, it should be a pretty even bout. They're both kind of feeling each other out right now. The pace is slowed. And I feel like the crowd has gotten a little restless here. Again, after all those points they just saw. Hey, where's the action? I mean, not every not every match is going to be 26-12.
They got spoiled by those first two matches. Had 17 points in one and 38 in the other.
So now as we begin period number 2, this might be the separator really, is who can be better on top.
Yeah, and Hammond's got a leg in on that left side. He's really good with that. And you see him trying to stretch Atkinson out, break him down to his belly. And Atkinson kind of frustrated. You saw him throw his hands up a little bit there towards the ref, but
and there, Hammond is finally able to break him down.
Yeah, and Hammond's looking for a turn here. He's got that leg in so tight on the left side, trying to see if he can get any swipes with it, but Atkinson doing everything he can to not give those up. Interesting note on Atkinson, there's only 4 active college wrestlers that have beaten Oklahoma State's Dean Heil. He is one of them, back when he redshirted at 141 pounds. Another one is also here, Kevin Jack. The NC State.
That's a good nugget right there, partner.
There you go. I'm good for something every once in a while. It's just crazy that Atkinson was at 141 pounds to start his college career. I mean, you see him now. He does not look like a small 165-pounder.
No, he fits right in, and he gets a quick escape. The right time right now, about 1 minute and 10 seconds for Hammond.
Yeah, that could be big as we continue on in this match. Of course, that'll be contingent on Hammond escaping in less than 10 seconds if he chooses bottom, like I assume he will in the third period, but something to watch for. Hammond's looking for his first ranked win of the year. He's 0-2 so far in ranked matches. And those are always important pieces to those coaches panel rankings, your quality wins.
It's Hammond's choice here.
Wow. Him and Papalizio looked like they were having a little back and forth about what they wanted to do, and it looked like Papalizio said, "It's your call."
That's exactly what I thought too. We can't hear him. It's too loud in here, plus the headsets, but that was the body language and kind of the gist of it, it seemed like.
Yeah. Well, it does keep that ride time point for Hammond. He's at 110, so it's close. But it keeps that secure for right now, and you know he's still got to go out there and get a takedown. I don't think you feel comfortable with that, with going to overtime at 1-1, and he's on his offense right away.
Hammond in on that right leg. Decided to choose neutral, showing that confidence that he could score a takedown.
And he's in a really awkward position here with how he's got his arms locked around that leg of Atkinson. Atkinson not able to score, though, and it looks like someone's bleeding. Hammond's nose, I think, is the culprit here. A little bit of a different match than our first two, but still a good one.
The inside of that bottom lip, I think.
It is the lip.
What they're tending to.
They had their backs to me. I couldn't.
Right.
I couldn't see it. You know.
So again, that does kind of speak to his confidence of maybe being able to get a takedown. On the other hand, maybe that's just the scouting report. You know, Atkinson is tough on top, but either way, he's got to get a takedown here. And of course, Atkinson is thinking the same thing.
Yeah, no doubt. They're both coming out here, and the good thing to see, the best thing to see, was that Hammond was on his offense right away, shot right away to open that third period. That shows you he's got the right mindset for this situation. Because you can't be waiting around until there's under a minute to go to start getting on your offense. Unless you're Bo Donahue, of course.
Hammond was able to scamper back. Almost ran into some trouble there. Atkinson's got that leg trying to turn around. Oh, initially 2 was put up and then rescinded.
And then the ref waved it off. That's going to be an interesting situation, but Atkinson's going to try to take Hammond to his back here to secure that takedown. Hammond is funky, though, like a lot of these NC State wrestlers.
Still neutral.
And Virginia is trying to challenge that he had that takedown, but we're going to have to wait for a stoppage before we get to that point.
And there's control.
See, and now I'm curious as to what happens, because they did throw the challenge brick. So does that count as the challenge? Or do they get to say, oh, see, that's what Papalizio is saying. He has to challenge. He threw the brick. And that was a little bit of a quick trigger on the Virginia part, because you cannot challenge until or the referees aren't going to review it until there's a stoppage.
Right. And I think that's where it's an interesting dynamic. I think most fans are probably most familiar with challenges from football.
Right.
Obviously, there's far more stoppages, and the rule there is, well, if the next play starts, you can't challenge it anymore.
Right.
Here, the play is still going on, and in fact, Virginia got the desired result in the end.
Yeah, that's why you don't want to be too quick on the trigger to throw that brick out there.
You'd rather go ahead, and I think out of frustration, I was watching and keeping one eye on the Virginia bench, and they thought for certain that there was 2, and then later on they thought there was control as well, and that brick was really thrown more out of frustration. So you're right, probably should have held that until a break.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, just the manner it was thrown out there, and everything like that. I think there was some frustration on the Virginia coach's part. Like you mentioned, they got the desired result, but I'm really interested to see how they kind of handle this. And it does look like the referees will go to the monitor.
So they're going to send both wrestlers back to their bench area. Atkinson getting coached up by Coach Garland.
I think NC State needs Bo Donahue to come out and rub a little bit off on Hammond. Some of that late match magic he's got.
Just put up 7 points in the blink of an eye, basically.
So we'll see what they say. The referee's over there talking with the coaches still. And the just came over the PA system that Virginia is challenging the takedown.
At the moment where Atkinson was grabbing the ankle here. And this is what the officials are looking at here, I believe.
Sorry, Andrew, didn't mean to cut you off there, but I mean, this was such a great flurry. These guys not giving up here, going back and forth.
So, again, this is what our officials are looking at right now. When that ankle was grabbed, did you think there was control?
It's so tough to say. Right there, I don't think there's control. I mean, he's taking him to his back, and that's one of the new points of emphasis in the rule book, but I don't know if I would call that control. There's still supposed to be a count when the wrestler is in danger. But this whole thing, I mean.
Right there. He's got his right hand on that right ankle as well, and then very quickly Hammond's able to stand it up.
Yeah, I mean, you see the referee right there waving it off because he had called 2 for a second, and he's saying right there that there's no control. I don't even know what would happen if they win the challenge because he got the 2 later anyway.
Yeah, well, you don't think you could stack them, right? That
No, because
sense.
There wouldn't have been a –
right.
There has to be an escape in order to get another takedown.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they determine there, do they go put time back on the clock? I've never seen that happen before.
So it's going to be an interesting question here.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, there's no question he's got the 2 there at the end.
Absolutely, and it seemed like only a matter of time for Atkinson, right?
Right. I mean, he had Hammond in a bad spot there eventually, and, it was a heck of a scramble, but just an interesting situation as college wrestling works out the kinks and having these challenges still. I mean, it's still a fairly new thing to the sport. So you see the ref is hammering out the details, and we'll try to listen and pass along what is said. But as it stands right now, Hammond's got to get out and get a takedown here. He's got to get out quick because he does have 1:06 of ride time.
Okay, so the call was reversed, which means they did award the 2 points from that ankle grab.
Right.
And they will put time back on the clock, 1:09.
And you can even see the wrestlers are a little confused out there. I mean, this is such a unique situation. Definitely the first I've seen of it. But 1:09 the clock says, so 1:09 is left.
So they roll back the clock here like it was 80s night.
And that plays to Hammond's favor here, putting that time back on the clock. But he's got to get out, and you see how good Atkins is on top here, and maybe that is why Hammond decided to start the third period in neutral instead of underneath.
Yeah, it's funny because Virginia challenged, but even though they won the challenge, you're absolutely right. It works out in Hammond's favor. More time goes back on the clock. It's the same result. But he is having an awfully tough time here. Atkinson's got him flat on his belly.
And Hammond was just hit for stalling. That's what's going to happen when you're laying on your stomach, and especially when you're close to the other team's bench. I mean, those coaches are working the referee, and they were able to get that stalling call.
So how about this from Andrew Atkinson? Exactly what UVA needed, down 7-0. They needed him to come in and win really a coin flip bout, and that is what he has done here.
Yeah, really impressive job there from Atkinson to pick up the 3-0 decision and get the Cavaliers on the board with their first win of the night.
So the Hoos are on the board thanks to Andrew Atkinson's performance at 165 pounds. It was a wacky one with a challenge in the middle of wrestling, but we'll move on to 174 pounds after this replay as Atkinson gets congratulated by Coach Garland. Check that. Scratch the replay because it's time to wrestle at 174 pounds. 19th ranked Daniel Bullard against 25th ranked Will Shaney. This is an interesting matchup. Again, a couple of guys ranked pretty close to one another. Bullard coming off a loss. He's looking to rebound here tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We talked to head coach Pat Papalizio before the match, and he said it's going to be huge for Bullard to rebound from that loss he had against Duke the other night. And they're really counting on him to do exactly that. And like you mentioned, partner, this is a bit of a toss-up match.
Yeah.
Guy ranked 19th and 25th. Guys with pretty similar records on the year, too.
Yeah, Shaney is 16-7, Bullard 11-5. Shaney is coming off a major decision loss to Ethan Ramos, 14-5.
You see Shaney working that front headlock, but Bullard able to get out of there with no damage done. Bullard's another one of these NC State guys we were talking about earlier where he redshirted last year, but there was a lot of positive buzz to him. His twin brother Thomas was starting in the lineup while he was redshirting, but the NC State coaches were excited about both Bullard brothers, both top 100 recruits coming out of high school.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what NC State, what Coach Papalizio has been able to do recruiting-wise here in Raleigh. And, you know, when we spoke to him about Virginia tonight, he said, you know, they have talent up and down the roster. You look, it's the same thing for the Cavaliers where Coach Garland has been able to bring in top 25 class after top 25 class over and over again. And, again, that's how these two coaches have been able to build these two programs to where they are right now, so healthy, so vibrant, particularly NC State ranks 6th in the country.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, in college athletics, recruiting is the lifeblood of any program. And you've got two of the best recruiters really in the country here with Papalizio and Garland from Virginia. Virginia brought in a top 10 class last year, according to Open Mat and Flow Wrestling, with 4 top 100 recruits, 6 state champs, and they've just stacked ranked recruiting class on top of ranked recruiting class, which is exactly what Pat Papalizio and his staff have done recently. You see Shaney working that front headlock once again, and that's not a good spot for Bullard to be, but the stalemate is called, and they will start back neutral. And Shaney's a stocky guy, but he wrestled 184 last year and gave Michael Machiavello, NC State's now 197-pounder, a really good match. We're getting funky here, and that's what Bullard does best, and he gets the takedown out of it.
Didn't know who was going to come out of that one, but it was Bullard, and now he takes control.
I tell you, both of the Bullard brothers are extremely funky and hard to score on. And again, that fits the NC State profile. A lot of their wrestlers fall into those same 2 categories.
Is that something that comes about in the room, or is that before you even step on campus? That's something that they try and look for.
I don't know if they look for it specifically, but they end up getting commits and signs, signatures on National Signing Day from a lot of guys who are exactly like that.
Or is it they're just recruiting top guys and top guys in general?
Well, that's the thing.
They're funky.
Yes, exactly. That's the thing. College wrestling in the last, I would say, 10 years has changed so much, and guys are so funky and scrambles are so hard. I mean, if I was in college wrestling now, I would never score a takedown. I didn't have a lot to begin with 10 years ago, but I wouldn't have a chance in 2018 now.
It's okay. It's the first month of the year.
I'm allowed that for a few more days.
You know, you'll still be scribbling right in the date somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
On your check or something. And you'll have to scribble out that 7 and write an 8. Probably until March at least.
No doubt. So Shaney in on a shot, and you see Bullard scrambling once again, and I mean he's going to hold those shots off. I mean, based on what I've seen, the majority of the time, you can get in deep on him, but it's such a challenge to finish against a guy that can scramble like him. Shaney actually took 3rd at 184 in the ACC championships last year, and now you see him down at 174, so a guy, a veteran too. He's a redshirt junior looking to take advantage of being the bigger guy in the weight class versus the smaller guy.
This is the 65th time NC State and Virginia have met on the wrestling mat since 1955.
So Shaney was in deep on a shot there, and Bullard's got the advantage, and there's the takedown.
Shaney will escape quickly, but it's 4-2. These two programs in history have been pretty even. NC State holds a 33-30-1 advantage, so it's just slight. The Wolfpack has won each of the last 3 matchups. Virginia trying to come in here looking for revenge. However, in the last 3 years, over that span, that they have not defeated NC State. The Wolfpack has won 47 of 51 duels, so they're 47-4. It's been almost impossible to knock off Pat Papalizio's bunch. But again, that's the task for Virginia here tonight. And if they are going to pull off the upset here, it's matches like these. They need wins out of guys like Shaney.
Yeah, exactly. Atkinson got the first kind of toss-up match, and this is another one that's going to be huge in determining the team score. Bullard starts the 3rd period with a quick escape, and then he's in on a shot, not able to finish, but still looking for his offense.
Yeah, it seems to me We didn't see that much action in the first. I think his confidence has grown kind of as he's started to figure out Shaney here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. These guys are much different physically. I mean, Shaney's a stocky guy, Bullard a little bit taller, you know, a redshirt freshman still growing. But Shaney's just not able to finish these shots in on Bullard, and he's been in deep several times. There's another stalemate.
Neither wrestler was really going to improve from that position. Shaney in immediately. He's got to hurry. Again, as you said, you can't wait around for that offense as we approach a minute to go in the third.
And Bullard locking in the crotch again. He's looking for back points. There's that danger call I was talking about earlier where the referee's going to say, there's a takedown. But even when you're neutral, if you've got your opponent in trouble going towards his back, the ref will start calling danger 1, danger 2. And that's been a new point of emphasis in the rule book. But Bullard gets the takedown the old-fashioned way, finishes up. He's got a 7-2 lead. And Bullard's still working on top. He's going to have just enough time to get a riding time point. He's at 50 right now with 13 seconds left, but it does not look like he's going to be able to get a turn.
And Shaney right now just staying down, not going to give up that tilt. And so Bullard wins it for NC State, 8-2 with the riding time point.
Yeah, Shaney knew the situation there. You can't give up bonus points there at the very end by getting turned. So you see this little funky scramble into a Bullard takedown right there. He gets the finish. And these NC State guys are just taking Virginia shots and turning them into Wolfpack points.
Again, we started at 149 pounds, so this will be the final bout before intermission. It's third-ranked Pete Renda, and Virginia had an or in this category, either Michael Batista, a freshman who's 1-13 on the year, or Jack Walsh, a redshirt freshman who's 0-10 on the year.
It'll actually be Drew Peck out there.
That's right.
He was not listed in the probables, but he did weigh in today at 184 pounds. We were told before the match that that was who to expect.
But Renda ranked third in the country, so he didn't know exactly who he was going to be wrestling. You look at the probables, but it is Peck, and well, I don't think he really cares, ranked third in the country.
Yeah, there you go. I think whoever they threw out there, he had a certain goal in mind, and I don't think it really mattered too much. Renda's a guy that's on a mission. He redshirted last year, a mid-career redshirt, which is something the NC State coaching staff has been very, very successful with. So now he's back for his 5th year, back at 184 pounds and 16-0.
Just to recap so far, Bo Donahue defeated Sam Crevis 11-6 to start things off for NC State as Renda picks up 2 points. Hayden Hidley at 157 pounds defeated Fred Green 26-12. Yes, 26-12 was the score. So he got a major decision, made it 7-0 NC State at 165 pounds. Andrew Atkinson beat Brian Hammond 3-0, make it 7-3. And if you just tuned in at 174 pounds, 19th ranked Daniel Bullard beat 25th ranked Will Shaney. And that has taken us to our 10-3 score. With Ryan Tice, I'm Andrew Sanders. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, I was just going to say, Renda is working that leg hard. I mean, he is trying to get the turn here and put his opponent's head in a picture frame, as you call it. And you see he's gotten the back points now as he's trying to bow and arrow him, where he tries to bring his opponent's foot up to his head, but it does look like Peck is going to get out of it.
He's bleeding from the mouth and was in a lot of trouble there.
Yeah, when they went out of bounds earlier, Renda actually pointed out that he was bleeding and there was no stoppage, so they keep going, and Peck is going to keep bleeding here, I think.
And nice job by our crew getting that close up there.
And Renda right back to going for that bow and arrow, using that leg to get the turn, and there are the back points coming. All 4 swipes, and now he looks for the pinfall. He's got 36 seconds to do it.
Renda's close here. Peck's in a lot of trouble. They're taking a close look, and Peck will get out. 4 points there. That was the danger zone for Peck, and now he'll get some training attention.
Yeah, they're going to have a little cleanup to do on the mat and on Peck.
So he's down 10-zip, but avoided the fall there.
Yeah, in this situation where you got a guy who, you know, not that it means anything, but wasn't even listed on the probables versus a guy who's ranked 3rd in the country, you might go into it saying, well, if we can just avoid the pin here, we'll take a, even if it is a technical fall, we'll take it. So, I mean, like I said, Renda's a man on a mission in his last year of eligibility, looking for that national title. Started his year off with a win over 4th-ranked Drew Foster of Northern Iowa at the NWCA All-Star Classic. He's in his 4th year as a starter. Placed 3rd at the NCAA Championships in 2016. And kind of surprised some people while doing that.
He's got 15 more seconds to work here in the first period. And Peck with a glance at the clock. Renda checking it as well. And Renda immediately says, let's stand up.
Yeah, I think you see Renda kind of, like we mentioned at the top, ramping up, trying to, on his way to hitting his peak. And, you know, he's feeling confident. And Peck in on a shot. Renda turns it into a takedown and looks like he's going to cut him right away. Looks like Renda's going optional start here on the restart. Just wants to get back to neutral and start looking for a takedown again. Not going to let him up easy, though. This is where you're trying to mentally break your opponent. But credit to Peck here. He went for that shot right away as soon as he was able to break free. And there's the takedown.
As they go off the mat, they'll go back to center here.
And it does look like Renda's going to go for an optional start again. We mentioned that Pete Renda redshirted last season, and all he did while redshirting was beat a NCAA champion from the year past, Miles Martin from Ohio State. So was a productive year off for Pete Renda.
Yeah, it's big time, and especially because you are redshirting, so it's all unaffiliated. Those are the matches that you live for, really, because it's a chance to really test your mettle, and obviously he didn't get to compete in the ACC, so that's one he can kind of hang his hat on, and well, he's up 14 here.
Yeah, and especially when you're redshirting, you don't get ranked opponents a whole lot. You only get to enter open tournaments, and there's not always going to be the best competition to test yourself when you're a guy the caliber of Pete Renda. Another optional start, and he's going to try to get another takedown before the period ends, which would, of course, complete the tech fall. And there it is.
Renda right around. Score it 18-3, make it 19-3 after the ride time point. But it is a tech fall, and that's how we go to intermission. So 5 points earned by Renda. That makes it 15-3 at the break. Ryan, your thoughts on the first 5 bouts?
A lot of points. I like it. A lot of points. Let's take a look at this Renda highlight here before we recap what happened in the first 5 matches. You see him kind of just riding it out. But yeah, I thought it was a good first 5 matches for NC State. 4 wins, lots of points scored. You can't ask for a much better start than what we saw from Bo Donahue at 149, working his magic at the end like he likes to do. So good start for the Wolfpack.
15-3 our score. We'll take an intermission break and be back after these messages. Virginia and NC State meeting for the 65th time on the wrestling mat. He's Ryan Tice. I'm Andrew Sanders. Glad you could join us. If you just joined us, you missed 5 pretty good bouts. And if you're not here in Reynolds Coliseum, you're missing Alumni Night, which is a big night, obviously, for the history of this program. We get a look at some of the highlights from the first 5 bouts. And, boy, Hidley really put on his show, scoring 26 points.
Yeah, 26-12 win. I mean, that's a ton of points in any wrestling match. That was a great win for him. You see the scrambling around here that happened at 165 with Atkinson and Hammond. And then the king of the scramblers, Bullard for NC State. Daniel Bullard at 174. Pete Renda at 184, 19-3, technical fall victory. Just dominant performance from Pete Renda there on that one.
So Renda got the bonus points that NC State was looking for to make it 15-3. Here's a look at the alumni that they honored here during the intermission. And obviously a great time for any program to be able to bring back some of their alumni. Obviously some of their best wrestlers, but everyone, guys like you, maybe perhaps, that were involved with the program. You guys all had a part in building this program.
I wouldn't put me and best in the same sentence very often with my college wrestling career, but there were some great ones out there. And then the best of them all, Nick Gwizdowski. He is competing in Russia. Starts tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern in a big international tournament. He is a bronze world medalist at the last World Championship. So Nick Gwizdowski doing big things in his wrestling career after leaving Raleigh.
So Virginia's down 15-3 right now, but we haven't seen the best that the Wahoos have to offer. That'll come at 125 pounds with Louis Hayes and at 133 with Jack Mueller. And so as obviously we still have the big guys to get to here, 197 in heavyweight, but as that turns around, if Virginia can get an upset here with some of these bigger guys, they're going to have a chance with both Hayes and Mueller to turn this thing around. What I'm trying to say is it might be 15-3, but this is not over yet.
No, it's never over. Pat Papalizio likes to say one upset in a dual meet can change the whole outcome, and that's exactly right. So I'm sure his guys won't be letting up, and we have got some really good ones coming up at 125 and 133. But first, it's 197 pounds.
Third-ranked Michael Machiavello wastes no time. 16 seconds in, he picks up 2 points, and he squares off with 31st-ranked Jay Aiello, a redshirt freshman from Chantilly, Virginia. Machiavello is 13-1. Aiello is 12-9. He gets the escape. And again, Machiavello, 2 more.
Yeah, great start for Machiavello, just going right to work, not wasting any time.
There's the escape for Aiello. And again, Aiello is a good opponent here, but Machiavello has been a step quicker in the first minute.
Yeah, Aiello, you see he's ranked, checking in at number 31, and at the Southern Scuffle, he started his 2018 off with a ranked win over the 16th ranked wrestler from Stanford. So like you said, partner, definitely a formidable foe here for Machiavello.
And this is part of the reason why NC State is so tough in duels. 2 more for Machiavello. Big takedown here, makes it 8-3. They're off the mat. You look at the depth, but again, we talked about the combination of there's no let-ups in the lineup, but also the top-end talent. And let's say Virginia, they get the win from Atkinson. If Shaney had won, right, it would have been, say, 7-6 range. You're feeling pretty good. Then you run into Pete Renda and Michael Machiavello. and it's just not often they're going to get upset.
Yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a 1-2 punch, and what makes it even crazier is those two guys are they could be at the same weight, but just given how the lineup is, the coaches made a decision. They knew that one of them had to go wrestle at 197. Machiavello was the pick to do that, and he looks great at this new weight class, but two 184-pounders like that makes NC State the envy of every wrestling team in the country.
So I know this happens, obviously, with lineups all around the country. Coaches are faced with this decision all the time. Okay, I've got two guys I feel good about, but they're at the same weight class. Who should go up? Is the decision usually made because you think it's going to be easier for one guy to move up, or if you think one guy is better than the other, you might want to leave him there? How are those decisions made?
There's always different variables that go into it. But exactly. But I think talking with Pat Papalizio, they thought Machiavello could handle a little bit more weight a little bit better. I mean, if you look at Pete Renda, that guy is so cut up. I mean,
he's about maxed out.
Yeah, you almost think that he is, whereas Machiavello's got a little bit of a bigger frame. And, I mean, he looks great at 197. Looks like a great decision, and the right decision was made by NC State.
It's worked out well for both Renda and Machiavello.
Yeah, both ranked third in the country right now, so not a bad spot to start off the 2018 year.
There's two more for Machiavello, and as we said, if you missed the first 5 bouts before intermission, you saw a lot of points. That's remained the case here.
Yeah, the big man doesn't want to get outscored by any of his teammates, so he's trying to keep pace. Although it's going to be awfully tough for him to catch Hayden Hidley's 26 points from our second match of the evening.
And I'm sure if Hidley said something, and he'll just go ahead and stand Aiello up here, I'm sure if Hidley said something about that, hey, I scored more points, the response would be, well, you got to give up a few points.
Yeah, exactly.
To be able to score 26.
Exactly. They'll go by what the margin of victory was, maybe.
There you go.
So Machiavello right back to work here in the second period.
Aiello with a stall warning, or pardon me, a point awarded, his second stall. And then 2 more. That puts it at 14. Now he's at 137 and counting on the ride time, so essentially he is up 15 right now, but that is not awarded until the end.
Exactly, so we might see another cut and takedown here. I don't know if Machiavello is really looking to turn him. And, of course, if there were another stalling call, that would end the match as well. Machiavello's working on top, so he's going to either look for a turn or try to get that other stalling call out of the referee. And it looks like he's trying to lock a cradle up. Does not have it locked up. So he just moves on and is looking to throw a leg now, it almost looks like.
This has been about as dominant of a performance as you will see between two wrestlers who are ranked. And right now, Machiavello.
Very close to getting the turn, but not quite enough, as you see his opponent is reaching back and holding on to his ankle to keep him from breaking 90.
A shake of the head from the official. And now, a couple of swipes.
He was actually counting those for Machiavello, because Machiavello had picked up that ankle. So he was going to give him 5 seconds, or he would have been hit for stalling if he continued to hang on to it.
Pardon me. See, that's why I'm glad you're here. Keep me correct.
Well, 1 point away from the tech fall, and escape will do it for Machiavello.
And there it is. So Renda and Machiavello go tech fall, and that will create some distance quickly here for NC State.
So we move on to heavyweight. Excuse me. Let's take a look at Machiavello's dominance here first. Nice little takedown from a sweep single there. You see him trying to work that cradle on top.
Disappointing for Virginia and Aiello, I'm sure. It just kind of goes to show you just how good Machiavello is.
He's ranked 3rd for a reason, Andrew. He is up. He's climbing the rankings, and he's off to a great start in his final year of eligibility. And we do have Malik McDonald out here for the Wolfpack at heavyweight. It was a bit of an or situation coming into the match. We talked to Pat Papalizio, about 30 minutes before the match, and he told us, I still don't know who I'm going to wrestle.
It's been a tough competition between Boykin and McDonald. Hard to separate the two, and so every time they get a chance to wrestle, especially an ACC duel, you just have to view it as an audition.
Yeah, McDonald went out there in their last match against Duke and had a really, really good performance against Jacob Casper, a returning All-American. But as Papalizio noted before the match when talking with us, he said it still wasn't a win. So NC State's going to have a real tough decision as they move forward down the home stretch. Do they wrestle McDonald, the redshirt junior? Do they wrestle Michael Boykin, the senior, who just placed 2nd at the Southern Scuffle in January? The rest of the team went to Italy to wrestle Oklahoma State. Michael Boykin had a chance to go, decided to stay in the States and enter the Southern Scuffle as a wrestler on his own, and he went and upset number 3, Nick Nevels of Penn State, had another top 10 win, and like I mentioned, he's really given the NC State coaches something to think about who wrestles heavyweight going forward.
And it's good he got that win.
Absolutely.
Because passing on a trip to Italy is not easy.
No, an all-expenses-paid trip to Italy?
Yeah, you offer me that, I'm there tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go. So, but that decision worked out pretty well for Boykin.
Absolutely.
Placing 2nd at the Scuffle, picking up a couple of wins, and he actually wrestled Jacob Casper of Duke in the finals there and lost to him in overtime.
It's been tight here between McDonald and Tyler Love. McDonald 14-4 on the year, Love 7-11.
McDonald was a first-time full-time starter last year. He was actually doing it at 197 pounds, qualified for the NCAA championships, won 20 matches, and now you see him up at heavyweight. And he's put on a lot of good size at heavyweight, too. He does not look like a 97-pounder anymore. McDonald out right away there.
A really quick escape.
Now he's in deep on a double leg. Credit to Tyler Love there, sprawling and not allowing McDonald to finish.
This is another one of those matchups that Virginia really has to have in order to spring the upset. Obviously, they are running out of time, but again, their strongest 2 wrestlers are coming up next. So both Hayes and Mueller, they went pin-pin against Carolina. And so they're not mathematically eliminated.
When you've got 2 top 10 guys coming up, you've always got a chance. And, of course, we won't see Sean Foss for NC State at 125. He did not weigh in today, so Hayes of Virginia will have Tommy Cox, the sophomore from New York, representing the Wolfpack.
And a stall warning here given to Love.
After picking up that stalling call, you want to see McDonald kind of get active here and try to
force the issue. Yeah,
exactly. Help break open the match a little bit with another point. But it looks like these guys are going to be content going to the final period at 3-1.
As expected, a little less activity here from the heavyweights.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be seeing another 20-point score in this one.
You start to get spoiled a little bit.
I know I was going out on a limb there.
McDonald returns Love to the mat.
And then he breaks him down completely flat. That's huge right there. I mean, that's when you can really impose your will a little bit and make your opponent carry all of your weight. And that's huge. McDonald breaking him down onto his stomach like that.
And with the way that this matchup has gone, I'm sure he'd be pretty content to just stay right here.
Yeah, we'll see. McDonald's working that bar on the right side. He's trying to get a turn there. He's got to break him down first, which is what he did right there. Now we'll see if he tries to run it. Still trying to run it. And he loses the bar on the right side, so that's going to help Love out a little bit. But he still needs to start basing up and working to get out here. And McDonald breaks him right back down again. Impressive stuff from Malik McDonald on top here.
Yeah, credit Love that he is still trying to have some action, but McDonald has had a counter to everything.
And it just makes that decision for Pat Popolizio and his staff a little more difficult.
Right. It's a good problem to have, though.
Exactly. I mean, we mentioned it before. They've got quality guys who aren't in the lineup right now. And it looks like McDonald's got the cradle.
That's twice tonight we've seen a cradle. Virginia's been able to escape both, but 4 points awarded to McDonald.
And McDonald not stopping.
Here he is again, right at the horn. 2 more swipes. It's going to turn into a major decision, so Bo Donahue and Malik McDonald both with some near buzzer beaters, a flurry of action at the end. And McDonald, where you were saying before that it was going to be a tough decision. How about the finish by the big guy?
Yeah, strong finish from the big man. You see him right here getting that turn, trying to get the fall, not quite able to do it, but he still gets the 4 back points. Provides a nice little margin of victory for the Wolfpack.
Here we go, 125 pounds. As you said, Sean Foss ranked 3rd in the country. Did not weigh in today, so it's Tommy Cox of NC State against 11th-ranked Lewis Hayes. 23-5 on the year is Hayes. 2 points for Hayes to start things off. And again, just like some of the NC State wrestlers ranked up there in the top 5, Hayes number 11, he's got to be thinking bonus points here.
Oh, absolutely, especially when he gets the backup at from NC State. But Tommy Cox is a guy that's made a lot of strides. It's funny to say being at the smallest weight class, but he's a lot bigger than he was last year. And I think we saw that in the Duke match, the ACC opener for NC State. He beat a guy that beat him last year and beat him pretty good, started the match off on the right foot. So Tommy Cox is certainly a guy making a lot of progress for NC State. And it doesn't hurt that he gets Sean Foss to wrestle around with in the room every day. Cox needs to work back to the center here. Referee telling him to do so. And Hayes keeps trying to force the issue there on the edge. And he does get the call.
A nice job by Hayes to remain aggressive.
Just the first against Cox, so no points yet, but the next one will be.
Oh, Hayes is lightning quick in with that shot.
Yeah, that was a nice little arm drag into a shot there from Louis Hayes. And he goes to work on top now. We mentioned the Southern Scuffle earlier. Hayes placed third at 125 down there in Chattanooga. Hayes might be the second straight freshman from Virginia to make noise at the national tournament at 125 pounds. Last year it was the guy we'll see up next, Jack Mueller, earning All-American honors. And Hayes is certainly going to be competing for that title this year in Cleveland.
Yeah, redshirted last year, went 18-8. Now finds himself just on the cusp of the top 10. He's seen a lot of success in his prep career. He was a junior freestyle and Greco-Roman national champion. He gets 2 more points here. And he's quieted the crowd in Reynolds Coliseum.
Yeah, and one of those wins while Hayes was redshirting 2 years ago over Dylan Peters, ranked number 3 nationally at the time. So that just gives you an idea of how good Hayes is. And he, as a redshirt freshman, he's a guy we're going to see a lot of in the ACC going forward.
How much do you think it helps that Steve Garland was the 1997 ACC champ at 125 pounds? The fact that, does that have much of an effect that if you're in a very similar weight class to what your coach is?
Oh, absolutely. Especially the thing about wrestling that is so different from every other sport is a lot of times the coaches wrestle with you. So, of course, it helps to have a guy like Steve Garland, like you mentioned, ACC champ, NCAA finalist, ACC Wrestler of the Year back during his wrestling career. It always helps to have a guy like that in the room, whether he's a coach, just a former wrestler coming by, or a guy on the current team. I was wondering if they were going to give Cox that escape there. They do. And they'll be back starting in the center.
And a stall point awarded. And that was basically a 3-point play right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Hayes gets the and one.
That was kind of like what we talked about earlier, maybe a cumulative stalling call there, because it was pretty quick after the restart. But I think part of that might have been Cox backing up, right off after the whistle. So I'm not criticizing the stall call, just trying to help explain it a little bit.
And Hayes is coming off a pin. Got the fall against James Zemansky. 4 minutes and 6 seconds in. Last week against North Carolina. He's looking for bonus points here.
Got to make sure he gets his escape here before the end of the period. There it is.
As we start the third, Hayes signals he wants to stand up.
I'm not surprised by that. He's got 2:22 of riding time already, so I think that's the right call in this situation if he wants to get bonus points. And, of course, Cox will be working to prevent that. Cox trying to go for a little bit of an upper body move there. He might be in trouble here, though.
Hayes quickly on top, and again, 4 swipes. Cox able to just roll over.
And that 6-point move is going to break things open, but the referee, there it is. I was going to say he hadn't awarded the back points yet, so that would have prevented Hayes from getting any more until he released the lock that he had.
A big-time move by Hayes. Puts him up 11. And he's got 1 minute and 9 seconds. He's in tech fall distance. Going to need another big score.
Now, it'll be interesting to see what the strategy is here down the closing minute with a 17-6 lead and, I mean, nearly 3 minutes of riding time. Going for a little foot sweep. He's got that leg of Tommy Cox up on the shelf. Cox, good scramble there on the edge. He's going to get hit for stalling again for going out of bounds. It's another point for Hayes.
It went out without really being forced there.
And you're going to get hit for that when that happens. And, you know, they're trying to increase the amount of action in matches. I think it's a good thing.
Potentially dangerous situation there. Cox trying to go in on a shot, but Hayes saw that from a mile away.
Yeah, that was a bit of a desperation shot. No setup, just kind of diving in there, and that's not going to work at this level in college, especially when you got a guy as good as Louis Hayes on the other side. I've been impressed by Hayes here in this one.
Hayes looked really good.
You see they were wrestling that time when they went out of bounds, so that's why there was no stall call when there was earlier. And Hayes trying to get another takedown here at the end.
Well, he timed up that whistle just perfectly. And he gets a win, 19-6. Great performance by Louis Hayes to improve to 24-5 on the season.
Yeah, that's a guy I'm going to have my eye on going into the postseason. He looked really good there. Be interesting to see how he does in his first try this March at the ACC and NCAA championships.
So that makes it 23-7. And this is an interesting bout here at 133. 26th ranked Tariq Wilson, a redshirt freshman, against 5th ranked Jack Mueller.
And Wilson in on a shot right away. It's going to be tough to finish this one, but he is in a much better position than his opponent right now early on.
Again, Mueller is coming off a fall victory against North Carolina. He and Hayes combined, bang, bang, just like that. It was 12-0, but after that, the Cavs didn't have much success. But Wilson here is a game opponent. Again, he's ranked himself, and he scores the first takedown.
Great job by Tariq Wilson, sticking with it, getting the takedown, but look at Mueller. He is right back in, trying to get a reversal here. And it's funny, you can see the way things look, but Tariq Wilson is actually picking up riding time at this point because Mueller has not completed the reversal, so technically Wilson is still in control.
Mueller still leaning on him, still leaning on, potentially dangerous, and so Wilson kind of gets bailed out, and here comes that green brick again.
And you see Mueller telling his coach, I want to challenge that. And
I think they just awarded him a point.
It did look like they gave him the escape point there because they called potentially dangerous, and that kind of ended the
that means he had gotten it back to neutral.
But the ref had not awarded it before the potentially dangerous call. It does look like Steve Garland is going to challenge. I assume he's looking for the reversal.
He says, hold on. He wants the brick back.
Another interesting situation with the challenge here. And I think this is the first NC State home match where they've had the challenge brick. It's been a flag before that they had up at the scorer's table, and the coach would go over and raise the flag. And now we've seen Steve Garland of Virginia throw the challenge brick out onto the mat twice.
So again, we'll get a look at what our officials are seeing here.
Yeah, you see here, I mean, that's where Wilson had the 2 for the takedown. Mueller tries a Granby, and then he's in on a shot. You see us trying to speed it up to where the referees want it at. And right there, I mean,
trying to see if at any point there was a reversal.
Yeah, and right there, because the ref hasn't awarded it, like I mentioned, technically right there, Tariq Wilson is still racking up riding time. Now, right there is where we might get a reversal right before that potentially dangerous whistle.
And you saw Mueller immediately motion. He said,
"Oh, Mueller,
bring that brick." Yeah.
Mueller, I think right here, started to have an idea of what he was going to do, and he got into the situation he wanted to be in, and I think he definitely thought he had it. I mean, right away he motioned for the coaches to throw the challenge brick. Great shot there from our crew. And right there, you have to give 1 because Mueller was no longer under Wilson's control there. I mean, he was in control. It'll be interesting to see what kind of call gets made here. It looks like the referees have reached a decision. We'll go over and tell the PA announcer. And we'll see what the official word is.
So they will give him the reversal here. So they change the escape to a reversal. And so Mueller was right. His instinct was right. The brick comes out there.
And I thought that was probably that's probably the right call. I mean, Mueller was out for sure. And then I thought he even got into a control position against Wilson right before that potentially dangerous call. So we're tied up in a good one here. Mueller is working it on top. He's got that leg in on the left side. He's got a bar in on the right side.
Yeah, I thought Wilson was doing a pretty nice job starting up, building that base, and Mueller had none of it.
Yeah, he threw that leg in immediately, and Wilson's in a real tough spot. That bar is deep. Mueller's throwing both boots in, looking for that little tilt. And Wilson fighting tooth and nail to prevent that from happening. Credit to Tariq Wilson here, not getting turned there. That was tough. Not that he's out of trouble yet, but just
Mueller is relentless right now.
Just to not give up those points.
It's really a flurry of movement for Mueller.
And Mueller, wow, he is just working on top. He's got that leg in so deep. He's working on the other side with the bar, going with a ball and chain tilt. Gonna run out of time. I tell you, credit to Tariq Wilson there, because Mueller, a guy who's a returning All-American, was working it on top. Tariq Wilson just would not budge, would not turn, and we're tied up at 2 going into the second.
By the way, you were talking about that ride time prior to the escape turn reversal. Mm-hmm. It came up big right there because you're right. Mueller was all over him on top, and yet he didn't get up over a minute, and now it's Wilson's turn to see what he can do on top.
Yeah, and that kept Mueller from having a minute of riding time. He ended the first period with, I think it was 48 seconds. So he was right on the cusp there. Now you see Wilson trying to break his opponent back down, and he's able to do so right there. And that was right in the nick of time. I thought the referee might start, counting there for a possible stalling call. So good job by Wilson getting him broken down when he did.
Mueller's working on those hands, and Wilson again gets back into some better control.
You got to be impressed by the effort Tariq Wilson's put up here. A guy that's, a little lower in the rankings than Mueller, a guy who was an All-American last year, and Wilson is going toe-to-toe with him. got to keep in mind, Wilson's 18-4 this year. 2 of his losses have come to his teammate Jamel Morris.
Hey, having a good room is tough, right?
There you go.
It's good, though.
We've mentioned it countless times, and that's the best thing for a team is having tough competition in practice every day. But Tariq Wilson has taken the starting job away from Morris, and I think we're starting to see why. I mean, he's going up against the guy that's ranked 5th nationally in the coaches panel rankings, and he is going toe-to-toe with him right now, tied up at 2-2, and building riding time. He's got 38 seconds right now, still counting forward. And that's huge.
And Mueller looks so good on top, but, hey, Wilson does too.
Yeah, both these guys. This is a good match right here.
Stall warning given to Mueller.
His first of the match. Again, let's see how that impacts strategy going forward. But great job by Tariq Wilson, riding him the whole period.
And they want a second stall right there. Wilson kind of let up for a moment, and Mueller just stayed there.
And you see Pat Papalizio heading to the table now. No challenge brick was thrown, but he is going to the table to ask the referee about something. I'm sure it's about the stalling, or lack thereof of a stalling call. .110 of riding time for Tariq Wilson. He's got choice here, and he chooses neutral.
Coach Papalizio is fired up by this performance from Wilson. Again, he wanted that second stall. They don't get it, but he's got the ride time, and he's in with the first shot. Mueller trying to counter.
Yeah, Wilson being aggressive here. You've got to like that, especially with the stalling call situation right now.
Now, Wilson does have a height advantage. You can see the wingspan advantage as well. He's able to keep Mueller at a little more of a distance. Mueller, there's 2.
What a takedown from Tariq Wilson, and he's putting him on his back.
As they made contact, Mueller got hurt. You could see it.
I thought he kind of let up there.
No,
and,
Mueller took the worst of that contact, and he needs medical right now. Hey, you could see him. It was more than a wince right there. He grimaced.
Yeah, and then it was like he kind of Grambied. He tried to Gramby out of it because he knew he was in trouble, but definitely got hurt there.
Yeah, he's pointing towards it looks like his right hip flexor.
And I tell you, credit to Mueller for being aware of the situation. He knows that he's hurt, but he only gave up 2 back points there.
Right.
That's pretty impressive.
Right.
And Mueller just stands up, looks like he's recovered, or at least he's recovered as much as he's going to, and he wants to get back going.
And that's great to see. And boy, we've got another challenge brick out there. Brick is being thrown around left and right. I feel like it's a game of Fortnite out here. So what is Virginia challenging this time?
I would assume they're saying that he either didn't get the 2 back swipes. I don't know how. I mean, he obviously got the takedown there.
Sure.
So that's the only thing I can imagine they're challenging. And you see Papalizio and the Virginia coaches kind of talking a little bit at the table there. And we'll see what the official word is as it comes over the PA system.
The time of the takedown is what we're told here. So when did the takedown occur? And by the way, because we're going to get this replay, I think we're probably going to be able to see Mueller's reaction. You could tell that there was something that wasn't quite right here after they made contact.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if they bumped heads or he just kind of, like you mentioned, he was pointing to his hips, so could have just stepped wrong. And you hear the crowd giving a big ovation to Tariq Wilson. He's loving it, bouncing around, shaking his head.
So right there, yeah. There was the takedown at about 130. Couple of swipes. and then Mueller was able to roll over.
Yeah, you see Mueller kind of pulled up there, and they stop it. There's the 2 back points.
Did you see anything there that would lead you to believe it would be anything other than 6-2? Again,
mean,
they're looking at the timing.
They might put 120 on the clock, I guess.
Call is confirmed.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm not too sure about that whole challenge. It might have been to give Mueller a little bit more time to recover. I'm not sure. But the call stood, and Tariq Wilson has a 6-2 lead right now.
So now Mueller's got to go to work. And again, he's staying in. Great sign. That hip flexor was bothering him, but how much is it bothering him now?
He's got a headlock.
Wilson just slipped it. And now he gets 2 more for Wilson. They get a little funky, and now in the middle of the wrestling again, NC State's going to challenge. And it's a red brick that comes out. First time we've seen that.
And Papalizio questioning the ref there about the sequence of events, the sequence of points that were awarded, it looks like. Trying to see exactly what he's challenging. I thought Papalizio was going to try to take back the brick now.
These officials have done a really nice job tonight.
Absolutely.
They have, been on top of these. Also, shout out to our crew for getting these replays into them quickly so they can see, make an informed decision, and we can get on with wrestling. And
no doubt. And we've had great angles of all of these controversial calls. Some of these are tough angles to get.
Ryan, what's the challenge limit here?
We might have to find out.
Now this is,
or we might hit it.
Obviously, Virginia's called 3, so NC State would still have at least one more challenge.
So we'll see what they're looking at here.
So this is after the restart. And we'll just watch this in its entirety here. And why not? It was good action.
Yeah, that headlock attempt was, I don't know how Tariq Wilson didn't get turned there.
So everything's neutral there, and then 2.
The 2 is awarded. And then you see Mueller just come right over top of him. Right there. And he's out, and then there's your 2.
There's your reversal. At this point, the challenge came out.
And we'll see what the official call is here as it's announced to the crowd.
I think just heard our officials say, confirming with Coach Garland that it is the correct score. So Wilson had this building jumping after that takedown that led to Mueller kind of grabbing that hip flexor.
Yeah, and
now they're trying to get the energy back up after this long delay.
Yeah, and the call was confirmed, so the refs had it right. And then Mueller goes optional start and comes around for a front headlock on Tariq Wilson. But I tell you, Tariq Wilson is a tough customer when you're trying to get him to turn. Early on we saw that, and then that headlock that Mueller had. He's going to get that on most guys. He's going for a gator roll.
Wilson in trouble now, no.
And he gets the takedown, but no back points there. I'm telling you, this Tariq Wilson has got to be one of the tougher guys to turn.
Well, no takedown.
And you just see
no takedown.
I don't know how.
Because he started on top and he never left.
Right, I'm sorry. And you see
2 more.
It's a funky win, but it's still a high-quality win for Tariq Wilson. 9-4 over the nation's number 5 ranked wrestler. And the crowd's loving it.
Big win for Wilson. We knew upsets might play a key factor tonight, but it's an upset in favor of NC State. And now we get to see another top 5 wrestler, this time on the Wolfpack side. Kevin Jack, it's been unbelievable what he has been able to do in his career as they burned his red shirt midway through his freshman year. Many fans across the ACC and the country probably know that story and what he went on to do in nationals, finishing 5th, 16 wins shy of the school win record.
Yeah, he comes in with over 100 wins in his career. He's creeping up on that school record, but this is how impressive it is to win 100 matches in your NC State wrestling career. The Wolfpack has more national championships won than 100 match winners in their history. They've won 7 national championships. They've got 5 100 match winners, Kevin Jack being the 5th.
That's really an impressive stat because it speaks to the consistency that is necessary.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to win 100 matches. I mean,
it's hard to win a natty, don't get me wrong,
right.
But you can be very good one year and get it done. This requires being very good for 3 years.
Yeah, four in most cases.
Yeah.
The only guy I've seen do it in 3 is Nick Wisdowski. At least at NC State, I'm talking about. So, but you see Kevin Jack. There's a reason he's piled up all those wins, and he got right to work with an early takedown.
So Sam Martino is a redshirt freshman from Colonial Heights, Virginia. He's 6-12 on the year. Last year went 21-19 as a redshirt, so just above 500. And he is in for a tough bout here. Although I would think if I'm Martino or a guy in Martino's shoes, I would like to go ahead and wrestle a couple of top guys. That's part of the reason why you come to the ACC, because you want to compete against some of the best, and this will get you better.
Especially as a redshirt freshman. I mean, now's the time to go out there and maybe take your lumps and wrestle the best guys in the country and see where you stack up against them. And Martino is going up against one of the best guys in the country regardless of weight class in Kevin Jack. And Jack piling up a 6-0 lead early on, already almost a minute and a half of riding time. And we mentioned the match in Italy NC State had against Oklahoma State earlier. Kevin Jack beat the 2-time defending national champion Dean Howell over there across the pond. And his only loss this year is to former NC State teammate Bryce Meredith, the current #1 in the weight class, now wrestling at Wyoming. The two are really close, and Jack actually beat Meredith on the first weekend of the season at the NWCA All-Star Classic. It's just an exhibition match, but, you know, in my mind, they're 1-1 this year.
And wouldn't that be a pretty cool matchup if it were to come in the finals in NCAA's?
I can't wait to write that story if it happens. And those two guys have met at nationals each of the last 2 years. Meredith knocked Jack to the consolation bracket both times, but then Jack got his revenge in the third-place match last year with a pin over Meredith. So, I mean, it's just such a great rivalry. And they're fun to watch. I mean, those are two of the best wrestlers in the country, two of the toughest guys to score on. Meredith is impossible to score on.
Again, we started at 149 pounds, so this is the final bout of the night. #2, Kevin Jack against Sam Martino. At the end of the first period, it's 10-0 Jack. NC State has wrapped this one up, 26-7, the team score. So they know they'll get a victory for the 48th time in their last 52 duels. They will improve to 2-0 in the ACC. The question is going to be, how wide will the margin of victory be? Right now, it looks pretty safe. It might just be 31-7 as Jack, like Pete Renda, like Michael Macchiavello, is looking for a tech fall. He's 3 points away from it.
Yeah, these guys can pile up some points in a hurry. To be in the position to start talking about that in only the second period when we're not even 30 seconds into the period. See Jack working that half on top. Kevin Jack's a two-time ACC champ, going for his third title this year before the national championships.
Can he turn him? Yes, he can. And there's 4 swipes, and that's going to wrap it up.
He's holding on, but it's over. As soon as he lets go of that lock, the crowd knows it. They're on their feet cheering about it. Dominant performance from Kevin Jack. And he's still not letting it go. I mean, he can still go for the pinfall here, but the tech fall is locked up. So we'll see what happens.
And that's the only reason you would hold on right here is if you think you can
pin him. And there it goes. He's turning him.
Jack is close here.
He might get it.
Kevin Jack. That's a pin. And an exclamation point for the Wolfpack.
Kevin Jack up 17-0 on the scoreboard. If you add those the ride time point and the back points, decides to go for the pinfall instead. And it is, like you said, partner, I couldn't put it any better. What an exclamation point.
So NC State beats Virginia for the 4th time in as many years. The teams will shake hands here in front of the mat. Boy, we saw some exciting wrestling. I said it might be 31-7 in the end. Well, it's 32-7. A fall for Kevin Jack to put the cherry on top for NC State. But we saw some exciting wrestling tonight.
Yeah, there were a ton of points scored. We had a couple of 20-point-plus matches. That's always exciting to see. We got to see a pinfall. It was just a great night of wrestling. A continued strong start for NC State here in ACC action.
So the Wolfpack improved to 2-0 in the ACC. Virginia drops to 0-2. That'll do it for our broadcast here in Raleigh. For Ryan Tice, I'm Andrew Sanders. Good night. NC State wins it.